The day I got laid off, I was 38, and I was staring at an email in my inbox with my severance package attached, and I was wondering to myself, like, how am I going to tell my family about this? If you're over 35, and you just got laid off, and you're terrified about the future, I've been there. I'll be real for a second with you, friend. I felt humiliated, rejected, and scared all in one little package. But here's the thing, getting laid off turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to me. In our little chat today, I'm going to share how that terrible moment in time ended up being something that worked out for me for the better, and how you can turn your own setback into a powerful comeback. And stick with me to the end because I'll share a powerful mindset shift that changed around my entire future. When the layoff hit me, I thought my career was completely over. Well, not completely over, but it did run me into a brick wall. I was over 35, watching my entire department get the hatchet while we watched our other colleagues keep their jobs. And I was also feeling like the company had moved on without me, without any rhyme or reason, especially after I had just sat in an all-hands meeting where they told all of us that and this was probably a lie, but they told all of us that the company was doing great. And I sat through all of that only to find out how expendable I was to this company, how expendable we all were. And to be quite frank with you, like, that was a tough pill to swallow. And I'm not gonna lie to you, those first few weeks after my layoff was pretty tough. I was applying to a ton of roles and I wasn't hearing anything back, just silence, right? On top of that, I had a medical emergency that I had to end up using a credit card for, which completely sucked. And I also second guessed my skills and started to think that I made a complete mistake or a huge mistake with my career choices altogether. But here's the truth that I didn't see at first. A layoff does not define you. You hear me? It does not define you. It forces you to pause, reevaluate, and finally get honest with what you really want out of your career and out of your life. For me, that meant asking myself, do I really want to climb the same ladder or the corporate ladder in general? Or do I want to work somewhere or do work that actually fits my life right now? And I think I've said this in a previous chat that you and I had. Work-life balance for me at this point in my life is extremely important. And honestly, I don't think the importance of work-life balance is ever going to change for me. So I also had to ask myself a couple other questions. What direction do I actually want to take my career, right? And what does success actually look like to me? What skills do I actually need to beef up on in order to land my next gig? And I'll talk about upskilling in a little bit. But that reframe shifted everything for me. And instead of chasing every single job that I thought I could do, I started looking at my layoff as an opportunity to press that reset button. It became an opportunity for me to really take full control of my career, how I manage my money, right? And ultimately, what I want my life to look like. Speaking of money, I do want to talk about that for a second. The money piece after my layoff was terrifying, okay? Especially after I had to swipe that credit card for my medical emergency. Taking on more debt while unemployed is the worst, right? But we can't help what unforeseen circumstances come along when we're in a place that's already bad anyway, right? And to be real, that all contributed to this domino effect that happened immediately after I got laid off from my job. I knew we had to get our money affairs in order and really streamline a budget that was going to stretch our money as far as it possibly could, right? Because in this job market, I had no idea how long I was going to be unemployed for. And on top of that, like, single income households nowadays is virtually unheard of unless you're rich. So we got super disciplined in how we manage our money, and that required a change in our mindset. And I'll talk a little bit more about mindset in a couple of minutes. I built a realistic budget and cut out unnecessary expenses, and also used tools, including AI, to help me track and stretch every single dollar. And that discipline gave me peace of mind And it also gave me time, right? Time to be a teensy bit more selective about the next job that I chose instead of jumping into the next gig that came along out of fear. We knew that we could make it to the end of the year without having to do anything crazy with my severance payment that I received and also with the extra money that my hubs was bringing in. And we knew that we can make it with our schmedium emergency fund that we had without like really diving into using credit cards to keep us afloat. So that gave us some relief. Then came the skills reset, right? Like, remember earlier on in our little chat, if you're still here, I said to myself, or I asked myself this question, like, what skills do I need to do to, like, what skills do I need to beef up on in order to land my next job? Well, this layoff gave me time to figure that out. And I went from like looking at this as a time of unemployment to looking at this as a time of me being in training. I enrolled in a marketing AI certification that I mention every time we talk. I also enrolled in free classes, took on networking calls, and I started working on real projects to beef up those skills that I knew were in demand. I started to really beef up on skills in things like AI tools, messaging strategy, and learning more about how product marketing, which is the role that I'm in, impacts various industries and how it's growing throughout those industries over time. Not only did doing this give me something to do between applying for jobs or interviewing for jobs, it also boosted my confidence. And by taking on those networking calls, every connection that I made gave me more opportunities to get closer to my next job that I needed or wanted, right? And I want to be all the way real with you for a second. The hardest reset for me wasn't just about money or skills, right? For me, the hardest reset was my mindset. A layoff can definitely send you into a pit of despair. You start to doubt yourself as a professional. Are you even worth another gig, right? Like you start feeling and thinking very negatively about yourself and getting stressed out and burned out. And what I had to do was stop treating my layoff as a failure and start treating it as freedom. Let me give you some real right quick, okay? Being over 35 means that you have perspective, you have resilience, and you have experience that nobody can take away from you. And that's leverage, friend. And once I shifted my mindset, my application started to reflect that confidence. And guess what happened after that? That's when them interviews started rolling in, okay? So looking back, here's what I wish I knew right after my layoff. Don't apply to everything, right? Pick a niche and go all in on that specific role. Build a budget that buys you time. Budgeting while unemployed is so important. The more unnecessary spending you're able to cut, the longer your money is able to stretch. Treat this as a reset and not an ending. It might feel like an ending at the time, right? But take this as an opportunity to pivot or do whatever it is that you want to do. Like, this is your world, friend, and you deserve to live it how you want to and do whatever it is that you want to do that makes you happy. And lastly, protect your energy. You're playing a long game here, okay? Check in on yourself and make sure that you're okay. And if you need a break, do so unapologetically. That way you can show up and show out for these applications and these interviews. And I'm telling you, like, those shifts turned my layoff experience from a dead end to a roadway to new opportunities. So if you're over 35 and you've been laid off and you feel like this is the end, hear me loud and clear, okay? It could be the start to something better. This isn't just about getting a job, okay? Like, this is also about you building the career that you want and also building the life that you want. This layoff or you getting fired or whatever the circumstances are may have knocked you down for right now, but it's a catalyst for something new. And also, I want to hear from you, okay? Drop a comment below and tell me what's the biggest setback you've ever experienced and what did you learn from it? And if you need more info about how I kicked my job search into high gear using AI, check out this video right here. In this video, I talk about the 3 prompts that I use to beef up my applications, beef up my resume, and ultimately help me land well over 30 first-round interviews. All right, so thank you for being here. As always, I appreciate you. And also, at the time of filming this, I have over 400 subscribers, so thank you so much for that. And I look forward to talking to you again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.